Hello, my name's Nicole and I'm from the Houston Museum of Natural Science. Hi! Today we're going to learn how to make some galaxy bookmarks. They're pretty easy to do. The only real special thing that you need is some thicker weight paper. I happen to have this paper, which is watercolor paper that I bought from Texas Art. It comes in this little pad where it's all stuck together, but you can use cardstock. If you can use typing paper, but it will absorb the water and it will cause some wrinkling. If you don't care about that and you're just practicing, great. So to begin with, I took one of those pieces of paper and I taped it down using washi tape. You can use masking tape or whatever you have, but just know that the stronger the adhesive, the more likely it is going to be to pull up your edges when you're done. If this is totally dry at the end, it's more likely that you'll be fine. Then you need some watercolors, or you need some Crayola markers. You can use any water-soluble marker. I just happen to have these at home. If you're going to be using markers, you're going to need some kind of plastic. I happen to have this palette here, but you can use the lid of a takeout container. You can use porcelain, whatever you've got that's just a flat, non-porous surface. And then you just color on that flat, non-porous surface. And then you're just going to use a damp brush later to pull that color out. This will end up being a little bit lighter because it won't be as highly pigmented as the watercolors, and that's totally fine. They look absolutely stunning no matter how you do it. So for example, this one was done with the water-soluble markers and this one was done with watercolors, but they both look great. Okay, to begin with, you want to get some water. The water should be clean to start with, but if it gets dirty along the way, it doesn't really matter. And you're just going to wipe water all over. It doesn't really matter the type of brush you're using. This one just happened to be one that I found when I was looking for something else. I also have a watercolor pen that actually has the water in the tip, so you don't have to fuss around. Clearly, here's some old dirty gross brushes in here. Whatever you got is fine. So the first thing is, you need to think of this as being sort of in thirds. Your galaxy will end up in the middle. You'll have a slightly darker color, and then you'll have black around the edges. So whatever color you're putting down first needs to be the lightest. And it needs to be the lightest in terms of saturation, not necessarily in terms of color. So for example, I have blue, I mean, you can see it, blue, pink, purple, and yellow. Yellow is the lightest in terms of the actual color, but I'm gonna start with the blue over here. Okay, and I'm gonna start, get a little bit more water to spread it around. And you don't have to go all the way to the edges, but I'm dragging the pigment out so that it ends up being a little bit lighter in the center. Okay, so there's my first color. And on this side, let's go ahead and let's pick this color you can't see because it's off screen. We're gonna pick this pink. So it's sort of a magenta color. Okay, and believe it or not, you're done with your very first step. You wanna wait until this dries and it doesn't pick up any pigment. So right now, if I put my finger down, it turns my finger blue. You need to wait until it no longer picks up pigment. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, now this is dry, so now we're on to step 2. And you're going to paint your center again. And then you're going to pick up a second color that you want it to be a little bit darker. So for just the sake of giggles, I'm going to pick up the yellow on this side, and I'm only using a damp brush so it'll stay as dark as possible. Okay, and then on this side, we're going to go with, let's do teal. Need a little bit more water. Now I'm going to show you a trick. You don't really want any hard edges, and you definitely want things to be like have different layers. So I'm going to pick up some of this I'm gonna draw a hard line. And see how you have that hard edge? So I'm gonna fill in this rest of this over here. And then here's a little trick. Take a mostly clean paintbrush, because I'm not really that concerned. Draw a clean line of water along just outside the edge of your line, and then blend those two together. And the water will do the rest. Okay, again, we need this to dry. So I will see you in just a minute. Okay, third step is to add your third color. Doing the same thing. And I'm gonna go with, let's go with pink. Go back and add some water, spread it out a little bit. I'm not being particularly precise because the less precise you are, the more organic everything looks, which is kind of what you're going for. Okay. Same trick, clean water. And then blending my edges. Okay. Then on this side, let's go with purple. Okay, guess what we're doing next? We're letting things dry. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, we have our final painting step here coming up, and then we have one more step beyond that. So to begin with, we're gonna wet our ends on both of these. And here's where we're sort of bringing the confines of space to our, or the expanse of space, I should say, to our project. You want to have pretty richly pigmented, put it on your brush, and then you want to do the ends, and you want to spread towards the center. So this is what's going to make it look spacey. You can't really go wrong. So I'm gonna do that clear line of liquid, or mostly clear line of liquid, I should say. And I'm gonna drag these two together. Okay, now on the other side, we're gonna do mostly a dry brush. It'll still be damp from having dipped it in there, but I'm going to take the pigment for my watercolor and do the exact same thing. This one's going to be lighter just because the Crayola watercolors, or the Crayola markers, will not have quite as much dark to them. And remember, when this dries, it actually ends up drying black, or drying lighter, and it won't be quite as black. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. I'm gonna take and rinse my brush, do my cleanish swath of water around the edge. I'm gonna blend those two. So that my line is not quite so solid. Ta-da! And now we wait for this to dry, and we have one last step. Okay, we're done. Except for one last little thing. So these are dry, and mine peeled up a little bit because it dried and buckled. You don't need this anymore. You don't need this anymore. You don't need this anymore. What you do need is an old toothbrush and some acrylic paint. Now, if you don't have acrylic paint, there are other things you can use. You can use liquid whiteout. You can also use like toothpaste or baking soda. But if you're gonna do that, because of what they're made of, if you use these as bookmarks, they're gonna rub and they're gonna smear. So they're really gonna be more for hanging in your house than they are going to be for using every day. So for this old toothbrush, you're gonna put paint on the end, and then you're going to drag your finger across it. And when you do that, what it does is it flicks the paint, but the angle at which you flick is important. You want to be at a 90-degree angle to this, your working surface, because if you do it this way, it's gonna look like shooting stars, which may be a cool effect, but not what I'm going for. So I'm gonna put, pick my other hand. There we go. I'm gonna put a pea-sized drop of paint on there, and I'm gonna take my thumb and I'm gonna press it in, and that's just to keep it so it doesn't all come out at once. So, there we go. Okay, then I'm gonna drag it across, but at that 90-degree angle. I'm sorry you guys can't see what's happening, but this is where the real magic happens. Ta-da! Okay, I'm gonna put my toothbrush down, and I'm gonna keep track of my thumb because it's damp and I don't want to get paint every place. I'm gonna peel these up so you can see the final product. Okay, it's ripping right there a little bit, not a problem. It won't make one bit of difference. Uh-oh. I'll have to go back and get that little piece. And there you go, 2 perfectly good bookmarks. For more activities like this, follow us on social media or visit hmns.org and look for HMNS at Home on the main page.